spanning more than 400 feet long, with wings so wide that they block out the sun. Malistrix, the Red Marauder, the most powerful Dragon Overlord on Krynn, and possibly one of the strongest dragons in D&D as a whole. Welcome back to my channel, guys. How are you doing today? So in this video, we're going to discuss Malistrix and her influence on the world of Krynn. An interesting fact about Malistrix is she was not born on Krynn. She was born on an alien dragon world, and on her world she was considered small and insignificant, fighting for survival for every single day. And that makes you think of how big and terrifying these other dragons are, and thankfully they have not arrived in Krynn. Now when Takhisis shifted the world away, changing Krynn's location in the universe, she by accident brought it closer to the dragon world. And Malistrix was one of the first dragons to find her way through the ether and arrive in Krynn. And on her arrival, she noticed that although in her world she was considered small, on Krynn she was massive, dwarfing all other Krynnish dragons, giving her tremendous power over them. Now Calandras, or Sky as we know him, the Mount of Kitiara Othmatar, arrived in Krynn from this same world much earlier with the assistance of Takhisis. He is also known as the Portal Master, as his control over portal magic is immense. He hid the fact that he was not from Krynn until the other alien dragons started appearing after the Chaos War. Now Malistrix, when she arrived, she carved a path through the ether from their world into Krynn, allowing other dragons to follow her. She is over 400 feet in length and has a gargantuan wingspan that measures more than 500 feet. Blood-red scales cover her completely, and she has large imposing horns on her head. She first appeared on Krynn in 384 after the Cataclysm. Her gateway was in the distant east of Ansalon. It took her a couple of weeks to fly from her gate all the way to Ansalon, and when she did finally reach the shores of Ansalon, she appeared over the Misty Islands, and shortly after she ravaged the Derely Plains, claiming the area as part of her growing domain. In 385, Malistrix created her lair and took the red dragon, Hekorath, as her mate. The pair mated together, and once she used him for what she required, Malistrix killed him. She then set about devastating the Goodlun region, at which point most of the inhabitants in other regions of Ansalon learned of her existence and terrible power. A year later, a small party led by the hero Riverwind journeyed to Malistrix's lair at Bloodwatch and broke her eggs, killing the unborn dragons. This furiated Malistrix naturally, and she gathered a small army of ogres and human barbarians. She completely destroyed Kender with her rage, killing thousands of Kender and devastating and conquering their entire land. One of the casualties of this war was Riverwind and his daughter. Shortly thereafter, Malistrix looks eastward to the Elian Wilds, learning of the fearsome Ranelli, sending her emissary to the island. Malistrix gains the unwavering alliance of the Ranelli, who become her assassins and trusted warriors. Growing ever stronger, a year after the destruction of Kendermore, Malistrix continued to kill any dragons that she encounters in eastern Ansalon, learning how to create dragon totems and harness arcane energies from it. Malistrix then begins to transform the land of Goodlun into a series of fiery mountains with extreme volcanic activity. The shores of the Bay of Balafor change into boiling water, and in the center of this new realm rises a gigantic mountain, becoming the dragon's permanent lair. Malistrix then started calling herself a Dragon Overlord, claiming the new land as her domain, referring to it as the Desolation. She continues to purge the smaller Krynnish dragons, killing them and adding their skulls to the totem, and thereby increasing her own power. In an act of self-preservation, the Knights of Takhisis offer their alliance to Malistrix, who gladly accepts their help. And by 413 AC, after a long series of bloody fights amongst the dragons during the Dragon Purge, Malistrix called together a meeting of the mightiest 5 dragons. She declares an end to the purge, dividing Ansalon between the 5 of them, stating that a large portion of Eastern Ansalon is her domain. Under the now expanded Desolation, Malistrix also makes each of the other Dragon Overlords swear to aid one another from assaults against the lesser dragons, and after that she sets about increasing her forces once more. A year later, after adding more barbarian tribes, hobgoblins, and goblin tribes to her army, Malistrix learns how to create dragon spawns from her fellow Dragon Overlord Calandris. The Red Dragon sets about creating red dragon spawn, and at the same time uses arcane magic and one of her own scales to make the Dark Knight, Subcommander Rorak Gistarn, into her first dragon vessel, who is a servant that is totally loyal to her, who she could bend to her own will and control him if necessary. But after some fighting which the sub-commander did not survive, the scale then was transferred to the warrior Damon Grimwolf, who in turn became an unwilling puppet for Malistrix. And by transferred, the sub-commander literally ripped the scale off of his chest, infusing it onto Damon's leg, killing himself but trapping Damon. And over the course of the next few years, the Red Dragon works to undermine the Heroes of the Heart, the group where Damon is the leader, or at least was, secretly working on a ritual by which she can grow her powers even further and ascend to a power equal to the gods. And this is why I'm saying that she is probably the most powerful dragon in the whole entirety of D&D. She is, after all, a CR 39 Red Dragon. Malistrix notifies Calandras that it is her wish to rule over the entirety of Ansalon, with him as her king and her as his queen. And she plans on elevating Furno, a Red Dragon lieutenant and trusted advisor of hers, into a Dragon Overlord who could rule over her old domain. However, her lieutenant is killed shortly thereafter by a mysterious shadow dragon. With her replacement lieutenant, the Red Dragon Holintris, Malistrix meets with the other 4 Dragon Overlords in the window to the stars, the place where she plans to ascend to godhood. The intervention of the Heroes of the Heart distracts the Red Dragon, allowing Calandras to step into her place and receive the power from the magical artifacts. Calandras then throws Malistrix into the sea before creating an arcane portal and fleeing into another realm. Temporarily thwarted, Malistrix returned to the Desolation to continue building her own armies. During the War of the Souls, Malistrix learns of the fall of her fellow overlords, Brailionix, and the near defeat of Calandras by the hands of the One God and Mina. Malistrix then flies over to the Blue Dragon Overlord's lair and kills him off, taking his skull. As she flies back to her lair, she learns that the One God has stolen her totem, and in her rage she flies to Sanction to kill Mina and her god. And in the year 421, in the skies over the city of Sanction, Mina, riding on top a death dragon that she created from the souls of all of the dead of Krynn, manages to kill Malistrix. Fatally wounded and also almost dying, but just narrowly escaping death, Mina survives the encounter. So what do you guys think? Was Malistrix the strongest dragon in D&D or not? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.